Hello, I am Dr. J. Hitson with GoodDoctors.Health, and I would like to speak to you today about Alzheimer's. This is one of the hardest diseases to work with, and it's a very, very real concern because the numbers are growing rapidly. And it is very, very rare, whether it's Alzheimer's, dementia, just cognitive impairment. I mean, this is becoming more and more of an epidemic, and it's affecting a lot of people. There's hardly a week that goes by that I'm not working with somebody who is struggling themselves to tell me what is going on because they're dealing with some version of, again, a dementia, a brain fog, whatnot. And yeah, there are definitely hereditary components. I mean, we've certainly seen that, but not necessarily. Just because nobody else in your family, as we're learning more and more, there's a lot of things in our environment and a lot of the things that are these disease conditions that are emerging now that are contributing to why the numbers are rising so much. I know it's something that I really care about because I think one of the worst fears is being that burden, not being able to contribute and to be able to take care of yourself, but then be able to contribute to the lives of others in a meaningful way. And I think a lot of us have either, if we haven't been through it, we've had friends who have been through the throes of severe dementia with loved ones, and just watching that, nobody deserves it. Nobody should ever have to live through it as a patient or, as a child taking care of a parent or a close family member. It's just traumatic on everyone. So, and if you are somebody who you've had to take care of a close family member struggling with dementia, my heart goes out to you. The things I want to discuss today is that there's a lot that can be done with regards to prevention. Now, once we get into the throes of Alzheimer's, dementia, whatnot, this does get harder and harder, and for a lot of good reasons. And this is especially for you caretakers out there. It's hard because the patient isn't able to participate in their own recovery, and that makes it hard. It makes it hard on you as a caretaker. It makes it hard on support staffs, and let's be frank that the recovery rates they're not fantastic when this has already gotten into advanced stages. So right away, if you're somebody who's already experiencing like the telltale signs, the brain fog, just things slipping, you just know you're not as sharp as you used to be. You can just feel that shift. I am a huge fan of protocols that no matter what happens, you're healthier. So back years ago, I was working with one of my medical directors, and we were talking about the difference between, all the medically minded, take all these pills, prescriptions, drugs, and all that, and then the more holistic minded, more natural and everything. And one thing that we can all agree on is that safer is always better. Safer is always better. And if we can do something that the worst case scenario is you're going to be healthier, well, that's a great protocol. That's a no-brainer. And so if you're somebody who is, has like some of this family history that you're concerned about, by the way, there are genetic tests that can be done, but here's the thing with the genetic test, even if you do have the gene, I mean, it's only like a 30% increase. So it's not like you're guaranteed that you are going to have issues, but it does increase your predisposition, so you do want to be more diligent with the protocols that prevent. And I'm going to dive into those. And the thing I want every one of you who are watching to be hopeful and optimistic and encouraged by in this message is that this can be turned around. There is hope, and you will be healthier if you take these steps. So let's kind of dive into a few of them. So blood sugar has been found to be a contributor to, again, all of the cognitive issues, brain fog, dementia, you name it. And it has been found, and there are links that they've been finding to Alzheimer's. Now, maintaining good blood sugar, that's good no matter what. Even if you aren't hypoglycemic or diabetic yet, it is so important to maintain a nice, healthy blood sugar. And it's not even that far of an idea that blood sugar would contribute to mental clarity, because anyone who's experienced hypoglycemia, anybody who's had their blood sugar be off, yeah, you don't feel as sharp when that's happening. And the more your blood sugar's off, the more you're going to have issues. So just maintaining a good, healthy blood sugar, and that's maintaining a good, healthy diet. In another video, I can get into all the different things that you can be doing, diet, lifestyle, exercise, all of that to maintain good, healthy blood sugar. But that is one of those key things. Now, inflammation markers. There's some really good evidence that inflammation, and there's a connection between inflammation and cognitive issues. Again, this also makes intuitive sense. If you are inflamed and your blood vessels are inflamed, you're probably not going to get good oxygen transportation, and you're not going to get the blood flow that you're looking for to the brain, and vice versa. So getting inflammation down is a huge part, and knowing if you have inflammation markers. Inflammation has become a really big buzzword, and it is a real issue for a lot of people. It's just not an issue for everybody. That's what the work that I'm doing, and I do a lot of blood analysis. Some people, it's a huge issue, and a lot of people, it's just not. So you just need to know where you stand, and then working backwards towards your particular solution. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to really hesitate to tell you specific supplements necessarily that you should be taking, because there isn't a week that goes by that somebody hasn't watched a YouTube video just like this one and heard that, oh, you need XYZ vitamin to be healthy. And they start taking it, and in their particular case, it actually makes them toxic. They did not need that at all. They already had more than enough. I see this a lot with vitamin D. While most people are deficient, people who aren't, if you take too much, it can create an issue. I see massively overdosed B12. A ton of people way overdosing themselves with B vitamins. And just recently I had somebody who was really overdosing themselves with magnesium. You don't see that very often, but it does happen. So I just really hesitate. If you need to know, should you be taking something, it's worthwhile to get the analysis done so you know that you know that you know. And plus, you're just not wasting your resources on things you don't need. And that's kind of one of the things I run into with a lot of the inflammation, is that a lot of people are taking things that they just don't need. But when you do, you need to know what it is your body's asking for. The other factor that they're really seeing a lot of link between cognitive issues is hormones. This isn't surprising either. Especially women, they understand when hormones fluctuate, you do not feel the same. You do not feel as sharp. You do not feel as in tune as you normally do. So that is also not surprising. So maintaining healthy hormone levels. Can I say this? How often do people have hormone issues that are major issues? Well, it is very, very interesting. The premenopausal crowd for women and the postmenopausal crowd, when you take those two populations, a lot of women do struggle with keeping up with the better hormone levels. And there's a lot of different ways to address that, but if you are somebody who is in those menopausal years, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, everything in between, and you have noticed the brain fog, and you have noticed that just cognitive not quite there, then yes, it's a really, really good idea to figure out what you can do to help balance that out and maintain, so that this doesn't evolve and continue to go in the wrong direction for you. Now, the other factors with regards to especially Alzheimer's, but a lot of the different cognitive declines, has been just toxins. Exposure to toxins. Heavy metals has definitely been contributed. That came out years and years ago, and you can definitely see it. You can definitely see it in the patterns. Now, with regards to knowing if heavy metals is an issue for you, hair analysis is still my personal favorite way of getting that information. There are definitely other ways, but there's fantastic hair analysis kits out there, from several different companies, and then you can find out, is it or is it not an issue for you? Again, this is about prevention. This isn't about, I'm going to encourage you, it's not about just taking everything that you can possibly take. I just really don't endorse that. Some people are taking so much that I don't think they have any receptors left to accept anything else. So it's knowing what you need and what your body is asking for. And then one of the last factors I'll get into on this video is trauma. So people who have had traumas, for instance, we know there's a cognitive decline. I mean, so those issues, and those of you who have had concussions, you have had head trauma, making sure that you're getting the appropriate treatment, and as soon as possible is better, but even if it is years later, making sure that you have properly addressed, to the best of your ability, the injuries that were there. And there's so many different therapies. I don't want to necessarily get into any particular one here, but don't just simply push that under the rug and move on. Make sure that you've had it properly addressed, and that you have addressed the immediate damage or any secondary issues that may have come. While there is absolutely a genetic component to dementia, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, again, none of these things. Epigenetics has shown us we can radically change how our genes express themselves by the way we eat, what we're taking, and our overall lifestyle. And as a general, what I'm going to encourage you is, don't just take fistfuls and fistfuls and fistfuls of supplements and everything and thinking that you're doing the right thing. In some cases, you could actually be making yourself toxic. In other cases, you're just not even absorbing because you're just taking so much. There's no room for receptors left. So I do encourage, just get the analysis done. I know we've built it into the exploratory panel to already evaluate for the major factors that are associated with Alzheimer's. I should say the major factors that prevent it. We've already worked those factors into a standard exploratory panel because I want to know, and I want to be able to tell the people that I work with, hey, listen, you're at a higher risk, so it's time to turn these things around before you have any issues. I hope that anyone who is struggling, starting to see these things, or is worried because they've had to take care of others, there's so many things that you can do. And if you reverse any one of these things, you will be healthier for having taken action.